Hey gun people, we're going to talk about some Lavoy Finicum here on this shooting. Now, I already did a video on this, and they did this press release here, and I'm going to play part of this press release and give you my comments on kind of what's going on here. A lot of people are saying that, you know, the FBI lied and the elite team, the hostage rescue team, they call it the HURT team, HRT, hostage rescue. And the HURT team is, I've trained with the HURT team, they've trained with us. I mean, we've done competitions. I don't know if the HURT team was the competition. We did a competition with the FBI and our SWAT teams in our county. And, I mean, look, every unit likes to say they're the best and we're the elite, especially in government. I mean, in all police departments, we always had the elite SWAT team, you know, and I was on the elite witness protection team, and I was, you know, every unit, every government organization always likes to think they're the best and likes to claim the elite and the special. So the FBI hostage HRT team, they're no different than a SWAT team. And to be honest, if I was in a shit at the fan situation or I was on a survival situation, I would much rather have a ranger or a special forces guy with me than I would somebody from the FBI HRT team. And I'm not saying these guys are crap, but you got to realize every agency gets their team. There's only so much training you can go to. It's all pretty much all agencies go to the same training. If you go to SWAT training, you go to SWAT. You know, everybody, oh, I went to LAPD SWAT, and I went to this SWAT, and you know, I went to the FBI SWAT, and you know, it's kind of like firearms instructors. You know, I mean, everybody wants to say, oh, I'm an NRA instructor. Big deal. I mean, I'm an FBI instructor. Big deal. I mean, I went through their school and they certified me so I could train FBI. You know, I'm a California firearms instructor. Big deal. So don't get caught up in these special elite units. You know, that's government tooting their own horn, trying to impress the public to maintain that superior control. Don't question us. You don't want us coming after you. We got a big hammer. Look. I just keep hearing this HRT elite team, and I'm kind of like, now the HRT, when I was working presidential protection, I was working a dog, but we always had the HR team following. When there's a presidential, you know, motorcade, there's always an HRT team there. And it's a hostage rescue, it's their high risk kind of team, it's their SWAT team. So, I mean, to be an FBI agent, I mean, to be honest, you don't have to be some special super secret person. I mean, they'll hire an attorney, they'll hire just about anybody depending on what your specialty is, on what they can use you for. So just to be an FBI agent, I mean, we had a couple guys from our office go to the FBI and they quit and they came back. I've seen guys go there and they go, they're Mickey Mouse, and they can't, and when I've worked with them, I think they're Mickey Mouse. But they have a lot of money and they have the big hand of the government. So a lot of people see that they get results and they like to claim their results and they like to run around and say how great they are, so people believe that. This video here, you're going to notice every agency has their own thing. Now the DOJ, to kind of put this in perspective on how the chain of command is, in a county, the sheriff and all the cops, they work for pretty much the DA, the prosecutor, city attorney. Whoever does the prosecutions for that county is their boss because they're on the prosecution team. They work together. So anything the cops do can affect the prosecution's ability to prosecute, so the prosecutor is going to say, don't do this, and you can do this, and this is okay, and etc. So there's always this alignment with the cops and the legal prosecution team because they have to work together. You can't have a confrontational because the cops will say, screw you, we're not giving you shit cases, or we're going to give you shit cases, or we're not going to arrest your people, then what are you going to do? So they have to have somewhat of a working cooperation. So the hierarchy is, for counties and cities, it's the city or county attorney that does it. And then above that county attorney is the state. And the state in California is Department of Justice. In Texas, they call them the DOJ special agent, is kind of what the people call, oh, they're the state FBI. Well, they're just basically, for the Attorney General, they're his cops. So they're DOJ special agents. In Texas, the Attorney General, his cops are the Rangers. So when you hear the Texas Rangers, everybody's like, oh man, Texas Rangers, all that. They're just the cops for the Attorney General. So, and then the FBI is the cops for the U.S. Attorney General. So, I mean, They all work for the attorneys that prosecute their cases, so there's this little hierarchy ladder that they're still working together. So this thing about there's a big investigation because the FBI lied, or a couple guys from the elite Hurt team didn't say they fired their gun and they lied. Now there's a big investigation, and the Attorney General's office, who is a separate part of the FBI. Look, the Attorney General works for the same guys that the FBI does. I mean, it's like the sheriff saying, well, you know, these deputies messed up, so I'm going to have this deputy investigate him. And everybody's like, oh, okay, well, great. That'll be, a non-biased party. Look, these guys, I know you don't want to hear this, these guys are going to be authorized, their shot's going to be authorized. Where they're going to get in trouble is they didn't tell the truth. That's what's going to get them in a jam. Their shots are going to be fully authorized. They're going to say, they were defending, etc. And you'll hear this in a video. So let me get to this video here, because and I'll stop it at certain points, and hopefully you can hear it.
Crime lab forensic scientists examined the truck driven by Mr. Finnegan and found 4 distinct bullet holes, 3 of which we have already gone over with you. To refer you to this diagram, these are the 3 prior shots that we had discussed. This is the 4th shot that they found into the roof of the truck.
Okay, so real quick, kind of down and dirty, what's going here is these are the cops in the front that shot, and they're going to claim we were in fear of our life. The truck was approaching us. We thought he was going to kill us. We were in fear of our life. Remember, I talked about cops can't set up an exigency. I can't go up to a guy on a ledge that says, hey, if you come any closer, I'm going to jump, and I'm going to go, you know what? I'm a cop. You can't tell me I can come. I'm going to come over there, and I'm going to push you if you don't jump. And when I walk up to him, he jumps of his own free will. The cop would be held negligent for that because, and everybody's going to be like, well, if the guy wanted to jump, that's his business. It's not the cop's fault. You still don't do things. You don't put things in motion that create an exigency or that authorizes or forces deadly force. You don't jump in front of a moving vehicle and then claim he was going to run me over. He wouldn't have ran you over if you didn't run or jump in front of the vehicle. So when you jump in front of a vehicle and say I was defending myself because he was going to run me over, it should not be authorized. It is authorized because the government looks the other way and they don't want to convict cops, and they're all on the same team, and the prosecutor doesn't want to convict his guys because he has to work with those guys, and his guys got friends on the department and he don't want to piss them. So it's all a big sham. But this is just, these 3 guys here were state guys. They shot because they were in fear of life. This guy's going to say he shot twice. FBI guy, he lied. He's going to get jammed for that. But the 2 shots he fired are going to be justified. These guys are shooting. Remember, I talk about you can't justify another cop shooting. You can't justify your own shooting because another cop shoots. And I go over that in another vehicle. That's called sympathetic fire. I can't shoot just because cops firing. Everybody has to justify their use of force. So that's kind of the car on where they're going there.
In the early stages of the investigation, we could not explain the 4th shot into the roof of the truck or its trajectory, given the placement of the Oregon State Police troopers at the time. We had conclusive evidence that the Oregon State Police troopers fired 6 shots. The 3 that hit the truck and the 3 that hit Mr. Finnegan.
Okay, so they said there were 6 shots fired by the troopers. These 3 here, then when he got out of the car and ran it back, they fired 3 more. So that's where they said they knew that those shots were fired.
During the course of our investigation, we discovered evidence that an FBI HRT operator fired 2 shots as Mr. Finnegan exited the truck.
Okay, remember, he's going to say, he can't say that I was shooting because they were shooting, because that would be sympathetic fire. So what he's going to say is that we were on a situation where I saw other officers in danger. The car just tried to kill these officers and rammed them, even though they set up the exigency. They blocked the road and they left nowhere for the car to go, which is why I get dummies here saying, why? What do you mean the guy couldn't do anything? He could have stopped. Sure, he can stop. But every pursuit you see on TV, how many times have you seen the road blocked with cars? Let me help you. Never. They just don't do it. It's not authorized. It's considered a deadly force situation, and you don't do it unless deadly force is authorized. So for them to set up that roadblock, they were saying deadly force was authorized before they ever get here. Because we've set up a roadblock that's likely to cause serious bodily injury and or death, which is a definition of deadly force. So That's what this guy's going to say. I saw him almost hit these guys. I thought he was going to run them over. I saw other officers shooting in defense of their lives. I knew he was armed, and when he got out, I was trying to protect these officers, and his shots are going to be justified. I know you don't want to hear that, but that's reality.
And one shot hit the truck. The footage from Ms. Cox's camera confirms this. Neither of these two shots fired by FBI HRT operators struck Mr. Finicum. The HRT operators were interviewed on the evening of January 26th and again on February 5th and 6th during the investigation by the Major Incident Team. Of particular concern to all of us is that the FBI HRT operators did not disclose their shots to.
Notice how the wording they're using here, people. They did not disclose their shots. If someone else did that, they would say the person lied in the course of a federal investigation, committed perjury, violated his oath, obstructed the investigation, and lied during the course of investigation. But when the government does it, it's they didn't disclose their shots. It's all about wording.
Our investigators, nor did they disclose specific actions they took after the shooting. The failure by HRT operators to disclose that they fired shots during this contact and actions they took after the shooting are the subject of an ongoing investigation by both the Deschutes County Sheriff's Office and the Inspector General of the United States Department of Justice.
Okay, so the Sheriff's Department can file charges for obstructing an investigation and lying in the course of an investigation. They can charge, it's 148 in California, but you can't lie during the course of an investigation and obstruct it. It's called obstruction of justice or obstructing investigation. So the county, of course the DA is not going to do that. He could charge those guys in the state for obstructing their investigation. They won't. Why? Because there's a brotherhood. All government protects each other. All government's got to stick together. It's us against the people.
The Inspector General is a separate department of the Department of Justice, responsible for investigating misconduct by the...
Separate department. Who do they work for? The same people that the FBI work for. Don't pay attention to that. It's a separate department, people. Look, just relax and figure that the government's going to investigate itself and find itself guilty. Yeah.
Department of Justice personnel.
I want to be clear where the process goes from here. The investigation remains open.
This guy's a weasel. I don't like him. I mean, it's not the fact that he's just an attorney and that he's a DA, but his whole comment and demeanor here is all about protecting the brotherhood.
And in the hands of the Deschutes County Sheriff's Office. The Inspector General of the U.S. Department of Justice is now also investigating. We deserve to know that our law enforcement officers at the local, state, and federal level act appropriately within the scope of the law. We know without a doubt that the Oregon State Police troopers who shot Mr. Finicum did so as they moved to protect themselves and their fellow officers.
There you go. The DA said they were protecting themselves and fellow officers, therefore deadly force was authorized. They're going to use this statement to clear the shots fired by the FBI, but this guy basically, you know, he doesn't mention the fact that they shouldn't have set up the roadblock. They didn't give him a place to go. They knew he was running. They had time to move their cars. They put these guys in a deadly force situation to where they had to ram the car, run off in the snow, and then they slaughtered them and fired at them because they're all using preconceived ideas. They've already established and justified deadly force before they ever got there. I mean, basically, these guys are terrorists and they could have just droned them while they were driving down the road and it would be no different.
Imminent harm. Mr. Finicum repeatedly and knowingly made choices that put him, Robert LeGoy Finicum, in this situation. It was not the outcome that any of us wanted, but one that he alone is responsible.
Okay, so he just transferred everything from the government to the victim who was shot and murdered and you know, who was pre-planned the murder. I mean, these guys should be for murder one for planning. But he just cleared everybody and he made it all the victim's fault by saying he did it. Now look, I know some people ain't going to want to hear this, but I agree. When he jumped out of the car and said, shoot me, and he's reaching down and he's putting his hands up, he's making it easy for government to justify the shooting. Did they have to shoot? No, I don't think they had to. I think they could have waited till they saw a gun. Most cops like to see a gun or weapon before they shoot. We can't just go and go run a guy's criminal history. You know what? This guy carried a gun before. If he makes any moves, let's just shoot and kill him. Because that's what they did. They never saw a weapon. And in all the articles that the government's releasing, they're saying he had a loaded gun on him. Well, that's up to a debate. Of course they're going to say that. Whether it was planted, whether he did or he didn't, you did not know that when you shot him, so you can't claim that now. And that's what everybody isn't, no media is focusing on that. And the national media isn't educating people. They're just giving the selling the government company line.
As you have heard today, the investigation conducted by the Tri-County Major Incident Team determined that OSP troopers fired 3 shots at Mr. Bennigan's vehicle as it approached the law enforcement barricade at a high rate of speed.
Speak up, damn pussy.
Nearly hitting a law enforcement officer. The team also determined OSP troopers fired 3 additional shots that struck and killed Mr. Bennigan as he reached for...
Nobody knows what the hell happened. They got to read it. Freaking idiots.
The county investigation further indicates that in between the 2 series of shots fired by OSP troopers, 1 and possibly 2 additional shots were fired by law enforcement as Mr. Bennigan was exiting his vehicle immediately after getting killed. As autopsy results confirm, neither of these shots struck Mr. Bennigan. The question of who fired these shots has not been resolved. Upon learning this, and given the presence of FBI agents on scene, I immediately contacted our inspection division, which in turn notified the United States Department of Justice, Office of Inspector General.
Yeah. We notified everybody because, holy shit, damn little wasp just landed on my camera, almost grabbed his butt. Yeah. They notified everybody and everything's good and just go on about your business. Man, I'll tell you, this is this is going to be justified. I know people don't want to hear it, but if you look at the law and you look at the circumstances, it's very reasonable. Remember, it's all about reasonable. It's very reasonable for a cop to be able to say, I was in fear of my life. I saw a car coming at me 70 miles an hour. I thought he was going to hit me or kill me. The one cop that jumped in front of the car is going to say, I thought he was going to hit the car, so I was jumping away from the car. And then the guy turned to me and he tried to hit me and kill me and run me over, so I had to shoot him. So again, I'm playing devil's advocate. This is what their story's going to be. And a jury's going to say that's reasonable. You know, these guys went out there, they went out with guns, they were terrorists, they got all this negative news media, you know, this guy's a rancher, we know he's a gang member, his pants were sagging. Whatever they want to say, they're going to tell the jury, and the jury's probably going to say, you know what, it's reasonable that these guys shot, it's reasonable that they were in fear of their life, it's reasonable for them to protect themselves when a car's coming out 70 miles an hour, it's reasonable to think that he had a gun. No other case would be judged this way. I've never been involved in any cop investigation where the cop said, well, you know what, we knew he had access to a gun, so we shot him. Did you see a gun? No. Unless you see a gun, you have to prove there's a threat. There is no way that these guys can prove this guy was a threat once he exited that vehicle. They did not see a gun. He wasn't in charge of a vehicle. He couldn't run him over. He had his hands up and down. He was yelling, shoot me. He was in the middle of an open area with no escape path. They knew who he was. They had been following him. They could have grabbed him numerous times before them. This is what I say when the government set up the exigency to shoot him. And you got the sheep out there who come on this channel and want to complain and go, oh, how can you just say that these guys took up guns and they took over and they didn't loot, they didn't shoot anybody, they didn't threaten anybody, they didn't stop anybody, they didn't do anything. They were simply exercising their right to carry a gun and they were protesting. And because you don't want to see it as that, because you want to believe the government, oh, Allah government or Akbar government, government Akbar, whatever it is, you want to be an idiot, that's your problem. I'm telling you, you can't just go around cops. It's not in the laws. It's not legal to go around shooting people because you think they have a gun. You have to use reasonable force and necessary force. They were shooting stun balls. They were shooting tear gas. They were shooting non-lethal. They had tasers. They knew who the guy was. You were in the open. There's just all kind of circumstances that says, you know what? You guys should not have shot. But secret handshake, knuckle bump, elbow bump, we're all in the same brotherhood. You know, you probably shouldn't have shot him, but we think we can cover this. Been there, done that, seen it happen 100 times. All right, that's my take on this new video where they were getting shot out of the car, the news press, all this other crap. The shooting in the car, a lot of people were saying, you know, what do you think about them shooting in the car? They're going to say they were shooting rubber bullets, they were shooting tear gas, it was bouncing off the car, the things you heard were not lethal force, they were trying to stop and protect them. What they did is they caused them to run because they knew they had a stinking roadblock, then they could shoot them. And I mean, did they consciously think this, okay, we're going to set this up to shoot? I don't think they did that. They did it in steps that a reasonable person should have seen that. And they didn't. And nobody's calling them on it because it's the secret government brotherhood shake. All right, we'll end it there. War Kitty's still up on duty here for those who care about Mr. Smokey. Smokey! They killed him, Smokey! Like, dude, I'm dreaming about mouses. Leave me alone.